The last thing I'm going to do is pull out the best birthday present I ever got, my guitar from you.
You know any chords at all on that guitar?
I know nothing.
Welcome to Hungry Dogs with James Patterson. That'd be me. I started Hungry Dogs because my grandmother used to say constantly, and I can still hear her voice in my ear, "Hungry dogs run faster, James." I found that to be incredibly true in life. We're getting Hungry Dogs started officially with, drum roll, my writing partner, my friend, my fellow hungry dog, Dolly Parton. We'll talk about how horse sense shaped Dolly's life, about how storytelling is the heart and soul of country music, and it really is, about what it felt like for Dolly to move to Nashville the morning after her high school graduation, about how she turned down Elvis Presley when he wanted to record I Will Always Love You. One quick note, we're working on the audio and the visual, and we'll get it in good shape at some point. Here's Dolly.
Dolly Rebecca Parton. Long time no talk.
I know. I was just telling her I couldn't wait to see you. It's been a while since I got to talk to you. So everything good with you?
Yeah, pretty good. Pretty good. You know, my favorite part of, I don't know what yours is, but my favorite part of when we were doing the book and all that jazz was we used to sometimes ride together with your dog and Danny and go to your studio, and we'd have 40 minutes or whatever just to shoot the breeze about family and your family and my family and you know, what was going on and the book a little bit and all. And I love those. That's my best memory of all of it. I don't know how that it fits in with you, but I love that.
Oh, I love that too. That's always the good part, is getting to know people you work with as the human beings that they are, and that you certainly hope that they are. But those were some of my favorite, just riding back and forth with you and talking about stuff and realizing we really did have a lot more in common than I realized at the beginning when we first started working together. So I really think of you as a dear friend now.
Well, backgrounds is one of the things. My grandfather, sixth grade education. My father grew up in a poor house, and your family with 12 kids and all that stuff. But I think one of the things that's interesting to me, and it's in terms of what your viewpoint is, I found, and I think you found it the same way, my grandparents and my parents were really smart, terrific people. And I don't think people understand, a lot of people don't understand that people can, not necessarily have a lot of money, but be really, really smart. Tell me about, how that fits with your philosophy.
Well, I think that's the greatest kind of smart. That's what we always refer to in the country as horse sense, having good horse sense. You just kind of have an innate knowledge of what goes on in life. And you don't learn that in books anyway. It's great if you can get a great education, but some of the smartest people I've ever known are people that did not have an education. And of course,
and your father and your mother and and Dorothy Joe, your aunt, they had different kinds of effects too, right? So I want you to tell me about that a little bit.
Well, they all had an effect. I think all the people that were rich in spirit, as far as their faith and all, that was always a great foundation, I think. And that's been one of the things through the years that has carried me as far, if not farther than almost anything, is having that spiritual base. And my grandpa was a preacher. My Aunt Dorothy Joe that you talked about, she was a preacher as well, but she's also a great writer. And my mother was very deep and just had a great philosophy about life. And they just knew how to talk to you about things. They just kind of had a bead on what the real life was really about. So everybody has something to offer, and every relative that you have, whether it be about the music or whether it be about your faith or just about, like we say, good old common sense about how to treat people, how to be. So you don't learn that in books anyway. You can learn a lot in books, but that's not where it all is.
So you play guitar and fiddle and piano and recorder and sax and dulcimer and all that. How much were you playing when you were a kid? How much of those instruments? How'd that work out?
Well, all of my people are very musical, and I don't play any of those things that well. I guess
I didn't say you played them that well. I just said you played them.
Right, and you were right about that. But I've always loved instruments, and I've all of my people would be playing some sort of a different instrument. And anybody that was playing something that came around our house, I wanted them to show me a few chords or whatever they were playing. But I do, of course, I'm a performer too, and a showman, so I kind of make it look like I'm better than what I am. But I do. The guitar is my best instrument. I write some with the piano, but I love the banjo. I love the dulcimer. I like a lot of the old mountain instruments to get those sounds that is just so much a part of me, those old mountain sounds. But the guitar is the one I use more than anything.
Uh-huh. We talked at the beginning a little bit about the similarities. And so I come to New York, and I have no business being in New York. And I want to write, and I don't know if I can write. But I need a job. So I go to the ad agency. And what I did was the normal route is you bring your portfolio. And then, what I did is I brought a portfolio, and then a week later I brought another portfolio, and a week later I brought another portfolio, and I think I exhausted them. So you graduate from high school, boom, you go to Nashville like the next day, right?
Yes, but I had been coming back and forth to Nashville since I was a young kid with my Uncle Bill. It's just that when I graduated from high school, bam, the next morning I moved to Nashville, and I've been here since 1964.
What were some of the obstacles when you first came there? You had this high soprano voice, which I don't think people necessarily saw as country, right? I mean, that's one little piece of the puzzle, right?
Well, I was a mountain country singer, and I had grown up singing, those old mountain songs like the Carter family songs and all the songs we used to hear on the Grand Ole Opry. And a lot of those old world songs that Mama and a lot of the people in the mountains sing that were brought over, from Ireland and Scotland and Wales. And so that was just embedded in my soul and in my guts. But I had gone to Nashville to try to be a country star. And then, of course, you kind of hook up with people at your record label. They think, well, maybe because you're young, maybe you should try to sing some more. I was 18 when I got here. They thought, well, maybe you could try some pop or a little bit of rockabilly and all that. And I did try that. But my natural self was really in country music. And I had written a song called Put It Off Until Tomorrow. And another country artist, Bill Phillips, who was pretty big at the time, he had a #1 song on it. And I got lucky and got to sing the harmony on the song because I had written it.
Uh-huh.
So anyway, everybody was saying, who's the girl singer on that song? That's a great voice. So because of that, I really got to start recording a lot of my first and good country stuff.
And a lot of your early successes there were writing, right? So what made you such a good writer? How'd that work out?
Well,
Why are you so good as a writer? That really irritates me. No, how did that happen?
I think you know all about writing, but that's just something I think you're born with. It's just the way I express myself. But I came from a long line of singers and musicians and writers. And so that just came natural to me. But I saw early on, that was a great way to express my personal self and a great way to express the things that I felt about so many other people and so many things that people do go through. And it was really like I think of my guitar as my therapist and my words. And I can write about from my joyful times, I can write about sorrowful times, and I can see people that don't know how to express their own sorrows or their own joy, and I can do that for them. So it's just a gift, and I'm really glad that I have that gift because I love to write.
We talked a lot on our little rides and everything about the importance of storytelling in country music. That's pretty true, right? More than I think other kinds of music.
I think so, because I think in country music, you usually have a verse and a chorus, a verse and a chorus, and maybe a little bridge, some kind of release. But they're almost always about what everybody feels, what sorrows are what we're talking about, or what joys or what hard times. And a lot of them are hard times. It's about heartache. It's about just living hard. And you're talking about your grandpa growing up in a poorhouse. Everybody in our house was poor. And so you write about the things that...
At least you had a house.
We did have a house, yeah.
Yeah.
Write about the things you feel and what you know about.
So in 2020, I'm jumping ahead and we'll go backwards and forwards and whatever. I show up and we sit in your office for a couple of hours actually, and blah 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 blah. And I loved it, and I think we both liked it. And one of the things you said, which I always loved, is you said, Jim, you wrote that you had written thousands of songs, country songs, and you said I could write one standing on my head. Want to see? Which I thought was a very funny line. And then we talk about kids' books maybe, and then a couple of ideas about an adult story, which eventually became Romeo's Run. And I left you just a couple of notes on it. And what, you are, this whole thing is called Hungry Dogs. You are a hungry dog. I think we both are. So I get home and 2 days later, you got a whole bunch of notes on the story for that. And then you'd already written 7 songs, which was, I'm like, oh my God. Yeah. No, but what did you really think when I showed up? What were you thinking? Like, who is this hustler? What?
Well, first of all, when they said you wanted to work with me, you said something about when I said I could write standing on my head. Well, you kind of stood me on my head when they said James Patterson wants to write something with you. And I thought, well, why does he need me? He seems to be doing okay on his own. And so I was just very flattered and very honored, but I actually was a little bit nervous because I'd never written like a novel. I'd never worked with someone of your caliber in that world at all.
Right, yeah.
I used to think I want to write a book, but I was just very honored that you even wanted to work with me. But then I remember telling you, now I'm not the kind of person that I just want to put my name on something that you're going to do. I want to be able to do my part, which is also one of the reasons I thought, well, when we talked, I thought, well, the best way I can express myself is to write some stories that I'm feeling about the stuff we talked about, put that in song for you to draw from that. And so I just felt like I was doing my part with that, but I was just, like I say, honored and flattered, and I'm just so happy we did it because it turned out to be #1 for a long time, and I got to know you, which is one.
It's still selling. It's still selling. Yeah, I love that whole experience, and I love going back and forth with you on it because, not specifically, it's not autobiographical, but you've lived with what she went through, and that authenticity you find in the book, I think, is very special. And so I didn't just have to make stuff up, which was really good. And then we would go back pretty much every week about, well, what do you think? What do you think? And I thought that was really healthy and terrific.
So I was decked out in my True Classic goodies when I played golf this Saturday, and I was even par. Then I played the second hole, and I was no longer even par. But here's the thing. I never felt more comfortable in a shirt and pair of trousers, and that's what separates True Classic. Comfort at a very comfortable price, and that's a nice combination. Guess what? People seem to agree. True Classic has sold over 25 million shirts to more than 5 million customers. They also have, and this is sort of a mind blower, 200,000 5-star reviews. I publish a lot of books, and let me tell you, I wish I had that many 5-star reviews. I wish I had that many 4-star reviews. But just think about that, 200,000 5-star reviews. That means a lot of people like True Classic. This brand isn't just about fabric or fit. It's about helping guys show up every day with confidence and purpose, and that's what happened to me on the golf course. Their shirts fit where they should. They feel great, trust me, and they don't break the bank, which is a good thing. You get that tailored look without losing comfort or blowing your budget. So forget the overpriced designer brands. Skip the cheap throwaway stuff. I mean, we don't want to be ripped off. Let's face it. True Classic is built for comfort. It's built to last, and it's built to give back. You can find them on Amazon, Target, Costco, Sam's Club, or head to trueclassic.com/Patterson to try them out for yourself. Try them out for yourself. Go ahead, do it. Help me out by liking and subscribing to Hungry Dogs. You can help a lot, so help, especially if you like the interviews. Your friends will like if you like the interviews, your friends will like the interviews, right? Do you have any friends? I don't know. Also, Drop me a comment with any ideas you have to make the Hungry Dog interviews better. I'm hungry to hear what you think. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
One of the secret weapons, and I don't know that people totally understand this about this, is about you, is how crazy smart you are. Crazy, crazy, crazy smart. One of the smartest people I've ever met. And your business sense. And with your business sense, the other thing is a sense of fairness as a business person, which I always found. You were always fair dealing with me but smart about stuff, always smart about it.
Oh, that's a very nice compliment. I don't know how smart I am. I always have a line that I say, I'm a very professional Dolly Parton. I don't know how smart I am about other things or other people, but I feel like I have a good beat on who I am, what I want, what I need, and what my desires are, and how I need to kind of handle that. But thank you for the nice compliment. But I just really kind of stay in my lane, know what I do best. I know what I can and can't do, what I will and won't do. And I think if you keep your head on straight, and if you have a gift, like say with the writing or the singing or whatever, I think you can make all that work for you. I think that it takes a clever person more than just smart, I guess.
Yeah. But even on the business side, so you had this song, I Always Love You, and Colonel Tom Parker, because Elvis wanted to sing the song, right? Just tell us a little bit about that kind of negotiation, so to speak, because Colonel Parker was kind of a hustler.
Well, he was, but he was a smart manager. He was a smart businessman. You can't fault the man for that.
Oh, yeah, he can.
He did great with that. But early on, I had to write for other publishing companies. You have to start out. You have to be able to, to sacrifice what you need to, as long as, till you get to where you need to be. And as soon as you are able to think more on the business end of things and try to get your things together, which I have through the years tried to gather up any of my songs that were scattered out to have them back in my own basket. But at that time, I had started my own publishing company, and I Will Always Love You was my biggest copyright at the time, and it had already been number one. And so when Elvis wanted to record it, it had nothing to do with Elvis. He loved the song. I'm sure he was probably as disappointed as I was, or I hope so. Anyway, Colonel Tom had called the night before, and I was going to go down to the session. They had invited me down, and I was so excited, told everybody Elvis was going to sing my song. And then Colonel Tom had said, we don't record anything with Elvis unless we have the publishing, or at least half the publishing. I said, well, now that's not going to work for me, because this is my most important copyright, and I'm not going to be able to do that. He said, well, then we're not going to be able to do it. And I was just crushed over it, but I said, well, then so be it.
Oh, good for you. Well, and leave it to wait till the night before, right? I love that.
Yeah,
yeah, they're clever. Probably the most famous, I'm not sure, you would say 9 to 5, maybe in terms of the movies. What have you always liked about the movie experience, Hollywood, all that? You did one with Burt Reynolds, which was another hit.
Yeah, actually 9 to 5 was the first movie that I'd ever made. I'd never even seen a movie made until that time. And so I felt very honored to get to work with two of the biggest stars at that time. Lily Tomlin was very big at the time as a comedian. And of course, Jane Fonda. She was always famous. She and her dad. And so I just felt that if I was going to be doing the movies, this would be a really good opportunity for me. And it was all about women, and I felt it was something I could do. And so I told Jane I would love to be in it if I could write the theme song, which I did, and which turned out to be another great move, a business move on my end as far as a writer, publisher. So I try, if I can, to kind of get a chance to do that. But that was a new experience, and I had a wonderful time doing that. This little poorhouse in Texas with Burt, it was after 9 to 5, the one right after, and it was not, right. It was not as much fun. He was not healthy at the time, and there was a lot of things that went on with that one. So that one was as hard to do as 9 to 5 was easy to do, but we're proud of both of them.
It's a couple of my favorite Romeo's Run stories. One of them, I don't know if I ever told you this particular story, but you called at one point and I picked up the phone and it was my birthday and you sang happy birthday to me over the phone. And what I wanted to do was say, Dolly, I want you to call again and you're going to get voicemail and I want you to sing it again. So I would, but I didn't have the nerve so that I would have a copy of it, but I said, I can't do it. I didn't have the nerve. The other quick story is we went to, I think, the Country Music Awards in Vegas. And they had a thing where you're on stage and you're the big star. And I just had this little thing where I was going to introduce you. And so I'm waiting and it's dark out in the stadium and they have this little producer and she's going, okay, you go over to these stairs. And I needed a mic and they didn't have a mic. And it was like 10 seconds before. And this is live television. Millions and millions of people, and there's no mic and no mic. We need a mic for Mr. Patterson. We need a mic. And finally, like literally 3 seconds before they hand me the mic and I walk up, because without the mic, it would have been ridiculous because I couldn't, nobody would hear me, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I told you, and you said, welcome to show business, Jimmy James, as you call me.
I call you Jimmy James. But yeah, I've had that happen to me. And I am such a person that, I like to be prepared for everything. And when you're doing those live shows, they do that to you all the time. And you just want to just say, go to hell, instead of, ladies and gentlemen, would you welcome my friend? But yeah, it's like you're so nervous at the time, you don't even know what you're going to say.
Yeah, you think they'd plan a little bit better. I don't know, whatever. So now you're a rock and roll star too. And you did that album, which was really, I love the idea, one, that I don't know if I really want to do this thing out in Cleveland, but you did it. And then you said, well, if I'm supposed to, I better do some rock and roll stuff. So you did your album with a lot of your own songs, and then you collaborated with Paul McCartney and Ringo and Elton John, et cetera. Any stories about those collaborations, or a story that was particularly funny or cool or interesting or whatever? I'm sure they were all kind of interesting things. Yeah.
They all, it's just like every person has their own personality and the way that they work and so to me, kind of like when I got to know you, since I loved your books and all, but getting to know you personally was a great joy for me. It's the same thing with all these people that I got to work with. They were all different, and I found out so much about them. And so many of them I really, really liked. Some of them I thought, I liked them all, and I appreciate all of them helping out with the thing. But some of them I got to really feel close to, and I just thought, well, I'm going to make this an enjoyable time in my life. I'm going to enjoy every I did, and I'm so happy I did that album. That's one of my favorite things I've ever done, and get to work some of those great songs with those great artists was really like a joy to me.
Your play, which you've been working on for a while, which is called Hello, I'm Dolly, right?
Well, actually, we're going to just call it Dolly now.
I was thinking about that, and I'm glad you are, because you should own it. Not any connection to that other play and whatever. So I love that. I love that you're just going to call it Dolly, personally.
Well, when my first album back when I was young was called Hello, I'm Dolly. And when I was in high school in 1964, all the 4 years before we graduated in 64, we made up money to go to New York and to D.C. And we went to the World's Fair there. And so when our little tour buses from the country came into New York, every taxi cab there was saying, hello, Dolly. And of course, since my name is Dolly, I talk about it even in the Broadway music. I tell this when I set up the story, even on Broadway. So maybe I'll call it Hello, I'm Dolly. And we kind of cleared it. But then, like you said, I thought, well, why call it that? I don't want to get it mixed up with the Hello, Dolly. But I do refer to that. And there's that backstory of why.
Yeah, tell me more about that. I mean, so you got some original songs, which is really great, and a lot of your famous songs as well.
Yes. Well, actually, it's called Dolly, an original musical, and I wrote a lot of the original songs and, of course, many of the hits. But I just kind of tell my story from the time I was little until now, till kind of, till up to now. But I think people will be surprised at a lot of the stories that I do tell. A lot of people think they know all the stories, and they do know some. But I've done it in music and with great dialogue. I co-wrote the book with a girl named Maria Slaughter, and her dad is George Slaughter, who is one of the big producers in Hollywood years ago. He did Laugh In and a lot of those wonderful shows. But I worked well with Maria, so I'm actually co-wrote the book, the playbill, and I wrote the music, or chose all the music. So I think it's going to be fun. It's got a lot of laughter, a lot of tears, a lot of heart, and I'm hoping people are going to enjoy it.
Okay, I'm James Patterson. I spend a lot of time writing about people who never seem to sleep, and I don't get to sleep that much myself. But when I do actually get to bed, I want to feel like an escape, and that's where Cozy Earth comes in. Cozy Earth. Their sheets are incredibly soft. They really are, and actually help keep you cool all night. No waking up sweaty, no kicking the covers off at 3 a.m. unless, you have to go to the bathroom or something. That happens. That's the one thing they can't help you with. If you're someone who likes to curl up with a book, and I hope you are, their bubble cuddle blanket is amazing. It really is. It's heavy enough to feel luxurious, but not so heavy you can't move. It's one of those things you don't realize you need until you have it. They even let you try it risk-free for 100 nights. That's pretty amazing. If you don't love it, send it back, and it comes with a 10-year warranty, because once you feel the level of comfort, you'll want it to last. I do. I don't even need the 100 nights. I'm convinced. Head to CozyEarth.com and use my code Patterson for up to 20% off. And if you get a post-purchase survey, make sure to let them know you heard about Cozy Earth right here on Hungry Dogs. Okay? Because home isn't just where you live, it's how you feel. Let's go home with Cozy Earth.
I came across this thing, and I think it fits us, but I think it's even more important for young people. I didn't write this, but the notion of my time here is short. What can I do most beautifully? I love that. I think it's such a cool thing in terms of focusing people and getting them to think stuff through. And I know you do, because you have so many projects you could do. And what are you going to do? What do you choose to do when people want to work with you and all that jazz? And I was unbelievably honored when you said, let's do a book together. But, as you know, and most of us know, males in this country they're kind of overwhelmed and they're a little angry and da-da-da-da. And because of some of that, they don't necessarily make the best dads in the world. And so I wrote a book, which is going to come out next year. I really like the idea. It's a quick little book, and because guys won't spend a lot of time with it. And it's basically how to be a better dad in 1 hour. And I do that purposely because that's all they'll give to it. But we can talk. And the thing of it is, like when my dad, the first time I remember getting a hug from my dad was on his deathbed. And it's just this notion of getting dads to hug and getting dads to do different things and having somebody to talk to, like, because we kind of talk back and forth in the book. And I just thought it'd be a good thing to do. So once again, my time is short, but I thought that was a beautiful thing to do. And obviously with your play, you believed, and I think that's accurate, that it would be a good thing to do. What else is going on besides your play? Or is that it's always a million things with you, but anything else that's got you excited?
Oh, I'm just excited about getting that done. And of course, I'm always involved in more stuff than I can ever get done. But I have a cookbook out with my sister Rachel. And
I saw that, yeah.
And yeah, it's doing really well. So
can you stay out of my lane a little bit? Come on, huh? No, that's...
You ruined me. You made me think, no, I'm going to write a cookbook. But Rachel was too. So, but anyhow, I'm just working on different things. I have a cosmetic line and a lot of things that we have going. Some wine that, when you get your brand. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
I've got all these hotels and stuff too, so I can kind of supply my own wines. And I'm going to be opening a hotel here called Songteller in Nashville next year. And
Where's that? Where is it in Nashville?
Town is like on Commerce, 3rd and Commerce, I think, next to the Grand Ole Opry in that area.
The original one.
Yeah, it's an original.
Yeah.
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 But I have
when I was going to school in Nashville, but that one was still open, and I went to it 3 or 4 times. Yeah, it was great. I mean, with the little fans and the whole ball of wax and no air conditioning, and which I obviously you know it well. So, is there one song or 2 songs in Dolly that you go, wow, this is one of my best? I forget about your, Jolene and some of your big hits, but anything new that you really love?
Well, I have a song that's in in my Broadway musical that I'm real excited about. I felt very inspired to write, and it touches on all the people that have helped me along. It's called "I Wouldn't Be Here If You Hadn't Been There," and it's really, whether it's about God or whether it's about all the people that have helped. So I'm excited about that as one of the songs from.
So you are a good writer, man. Woman.
Well, I'm enough to write. Yeah, you can call me man. I take that as a compliment. I'm just one of the boys.
I'm not going to get into the imagination library and the stuff that I do because I always figure that stuff is absolutely no big deal, and because we should be doing it, we should be giving back, and we do, and so that's nothing for me. The last thing I'm going to do is pull out the best birthday present I ever got. My guitar from you. This is my Run Rose Run guitar, which you signed, and you say, "I will always love you," and I will always love you too, girl.
You know any chords at all on that guitar?
I know nothing, but I love the guitar. I don't care. I'm not going to learn the guitar at this stage, but maybe I will. Who knows? Maybe I'll start. Yeah. But thank you so much. Anything else that you want to throw out here while we're signing on?
Just to death, and I'm glad. I was so excited. They said I was going to get to talk to you today, and I thought, yay! I always feel like that.
I was excited all week. I absolutely agree. It's really great seeing you. Look terrific as always, and this has been fun for me.
Thanks for joining me on this episode of Hungry Dogs. Help me out by liking and subscribing to the show. We want to get these interviews out to as many people as we can. You can help a lot. If you like the interviews, your friends will like the interviews, so help. Also, drop me a comment with any ideas you have to make the Hungry Dog interviews better. I'm hungry to hear what you think. I love new ideas. Thank you.